You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account, from Nvidia to VIX and everything in between. If it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back to check in with our good buddy Thor, aka the Hot Options Report, one final time for the first full trading week of the new year. Hope your new year is off to a great start. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the Options Insider Radio Network. Reminding you, make sure you check out our friends over there at the HotOptionsReport.com. It's where all this data comes from and a whole bunch more. You can't beat the data. You can't beat the price. The HotOptionsReport.com to kick the tires and light the fires. As we check out what was lighting up the options market on this final day of the first full trading week. Was it a hot end to the first full trading week of the new year? The answer was yes. 592,000 contracts is what it cost you to break into the top 10 today. That's decent. That gets you to our old pal GOOGL, aka Alphabet, popping today $3.13, or about 1%, closing 328.57. The hot option in Alphabet today, 65,000 of the 330s expiring today. Average price for these, 97 cents. So you know the drill. Paid 97 cents for these and you rode them into the close. Not exactly a great trade. Hopefully you got the heck out of Dodge. The stock got up to 330.83, so you had a opportunity to at least scratch them at one point. Hopefully you did if you bought them. If you sold them, you're a happy camper right now as we keep climbing to number 9, our old pal Palantir. Palantir climbing a little bit today as well, climbing 63 cents to 177.49, putting up 677,000 contracts for the number 9 spot today, listeners. And the hot option in Palantir today, 55,000 of the 177.5. So exactly where we went out, listeners. Funny how that works. Average price for these, 68 cents. So if you bought them, rode them into the close, not a great do. Looks like paper might have been selling these, though, in which case you're a brave soul. You had to sweat a bit throughout the early part of the session. You got up to 178 3/4 almost, so you were sweating on these for a little bit, but they ended up going out worthless, so not a bad trade if you sold these bad boys as we keep climbing. To number 8, it's our old pal, the Amazonians. Was Amazon climbing today? The answer was yes. They popped $1.05 to close at 247.34, putting up 791,000 contracts for the number 8 spot. The hot option in Amazon today, nearly 70,000 of the 247.5s. Wild how that works. Again, expiring today. Average price for these, 21 cents. Again, these went out worthless. So if you sold them, looks like paper might have been hitting the bid on these. If you sold them, again, you had to sweat a bit, but you ended up keeping a whole 21 cents as we keep climbing to number 7. Haven't talked about this name in a little while. I guess it's back on the radar. It's open, listeners. Popping 85 cents today to close at $7.28. So up over 13% today. A wild day once again for open. Are we kicking off the new year with another round of open? Looks like we are. Open putting up 821,000 contracts today for the number 7 spot, and the hot option in open today, 69,000 of the 7.5 calls. Average price for these, 14 cents. Obviously, these went out worthless. Looks like paper might have been hitting the bid on these as well. So, again, you had to sweat a little bit, but if you rode them through the close and you sold them, you kept a whopping 14 cents. Good for you. As we keep climbing to number 6, listeners, it's our old pal, what used to be called the Widowmaker, now just bouncing along with the tides of M&A, selling off a bit today, off $1.09 to close at $89.44, putting up 1.02 million contracts for the number 6 spot. So only at number 6, we're already north of a million contracts. So a very dense day in the options market today. And what was the hot option in Netflix today? It was 101,000 of the 110 calls. Not expiring today, not expiring in January, February, or March. You're going all the way out to August. It was the AUG 110s. Average price for these, $4.62. You know the drill. They're looking for a little bit of a pop to the upside by August expiration. If these calls were buying, if you sold them, you might end up looking good if this deal goes through the way it is. Either way, an interesting paper here, longer term paper for our old pal Netflix. But let's keep climbing to number 5, the monster. This was a hot one yesterday. Is it a hot one today? Yes, but perhaps not in the direction the bulls were hoping for. MSTR selling off $9.64, or nearly 6%, closing 157.33, putting up 1.15 million contracts. For the number 5 spot, the hot option in MSTR today, 86,000 of the 160s expiring today. Average price for these, $1.23. Those obviously sound pretty rich given where we went out, listeners. The stock did get up in the middle of the session north of 160, though. So you had several opportunities to get out of these if you were buying them. Hopefully, paper sold them and rode them all the way into the close, listeners. As we keep climbing to number 4, our old pal Apple. Been a challenging start to the year for Apple. They've been mostly red every session. Managing to buck that trend today, popping 33 cents to close 259.37, putting up 1.35 million contracts. Another heavy day for Apple options. What was the hot option on a hot day in Apple? 183,000 of the 260 calls. Average price for these, 28 cents. Stock went out obviously shy of that strike, so these went out worthless. So if you bought them, not exactly a great trade. Looks like paper did probably buy these, but we'll see. Either way, listeners, Apple closing in the green this week, so that at least is something. As we keep climbing to number 3, listeners, it's our old pal Intel, another one that's been making some noise this week. Making some noise again today, popping $4.44, or nearly 11%, to close at $45.55. This was a stock that was just $20 a few months ago, listeners. Putting up 1.51 million contracts for the number 3 spot, the hot option in Intel today, 76,000 of the 45s. Average price for these, 36 cents. They obviously went out 55 cents. So if you bought these and rode them through the close, you're looking like a happy camper as we keep climbing to number 2. Were the Nvidia bulls happy campers today? The answer was no, listeners. Nvidia selling off, if ever so slightly, closing 184.82 off 21 cents, listeners, putting up 2.56 million contracts. So decent paper for Nvidia today. The hot option on a decently active day in Nvidia, 250,000 of the 185s expiring today. Average price for these, about 75 cents. You know the drill. They went out worthless. So hopefully paper sold them. Looks like a decent chunk did go up on the bid. So if you sold these, you had to sweat a little bit. Stock got up to 186.34 today. So you were sweating, but if you rode them through the close, you ended up looking pretty good. And what was looking good in the number 1 spot today, listeners? It was Tesla coming back to life today. Closing 445, pretty much exactly, up $9.21, putting up 3.25 million contracts. So a very active day in Tesla land. We've been talking about a lot of puts this week. Looks like most of those are going the way of the dodo this week, listeners. All those 430s, 435 puts we talked about. If paper was buying those, they are not happy campers today. But what was the hot option in Tesla today? It was 222,000 of the 445s. Once again, right at the strike, listeners. Average price for these, $1.33. These went out worth a penny. So if you bought these at that average price, not exactly a great day. If you sold them, again, it's a difficult trade. You got to sweat a little bit if you're selling premium in Tesla, but it ended up working out for you. I hope your trading week worked out well for you, listeners. If you missed anything on the network, make sure you check it out wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And also make sure you're checking out our friends over there at the Hot Options Report optionsinsider.com. Get in while they still have all that awesome data available for you for free. You can't beat the price, and you can't beat the data. Have a great weekend. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Another episode of the Hot Options Report.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.